All right, they just went offline.
Do the laser beam. Do the laser beam, dang it.
Okay, we're live.
Yay!
Should we go up?
Well, you're definitely live.
Okay.
We're live. All right.
Yo.
Well.
Hello, hello. Hey, it's Highwinds with the good luck. Yo, this is that's how you start these things off. Hello, hello, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this after dark session of Speedrunning Ragnarok. My name is Bob the Ninja Goldfish, and I am going to be your host for the next, well, basically till I fall asleep, which hopefully won't be long. And I would like it to be known by all and sundry that my wife is a goddess because she just brought me a mug of coffee.
That is so sweet. Hello, everyone. I am the runner of the next couple of games, Mr. Did I just call myself Mr.? My name's GhostKing. And, yeah, so...
Mr. the King of Ghosts.
Yes.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, middle name Reginald. Not really.
Dude, Reginald GhostKing.
Reginald.
Is GhostKing like your rapper name? I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore.
Yes, that is totally my rapper name. Sure. Let me also make sure the game volume isn't, like, appallingly low, too. Ooh, that's a couple pegs lower than I like it. Let's go ahead and just raise it a little bit. At least for me, at least for my end. Okay, sorry, so Origin was originally put on this beforehand, but, because I'm doing both back-to-back, and Celceta is a bit of an easier warm-up, and also I know that I wasn't sure if Bob was going to be here, and I wanted Bob to be here for Origin. So we decided to go with this one just because it's a little easier to set up. We'll be doing Origin just afterwards. This one's going to be the next hour 15 or so. But Mr. Dr. Ghost Reginald King Sr. I like that sound of it. Yeah, memories of gelatin. Somebody said East Calcium yesterday. Used to be the running joke was East Calcutta. So Celceta is just the name of the region. Yeah, you can,
Why is that so funny?
You can blame Highwinds and Puri Puri for that one.
I'll blame Highwinds for most things, let's be honest.
Sure. So, as the name suggests, this is a game that takes place in a country called Celceta, which is all you really need to know. And it's called Memories because our main character has amnesia, which is a little weird because he is the series protagonist of all the games other than Origin, which I will be following up with after this. Kind of just want to have my own timer in the background just to make sure. I'll load that up real quick, and then I'll be ready to go. So I'll give you the countdown, Kay, whenever you're ready. Just let me know when we're good to count down. Hi, Kay.
We're good all the time.
Okay.
I can words.
I can
anyway,
tell.
We are good whenever you are ready.
Sweet. Give me like 20 seconds. There we go.
20, 19...
We're done. Okay, I'm ready. I didn't know how long that would take. Okay. So, as the category suggests, we'll be doing this on the normal difficulty. Normal actually is a significant step up in this game, because we're going to be massively under-leveled. This is about a 30-hour-long game. And then we're cutting it down to an hour and hopefully under 10. But my estimate's an hour 15. Anyways.
It's okay if you go over.
I know. Alrighty. But enough talk. Let us begin. I'll give the countdown. When I say go, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
Thank you. So the events of this game, we play as the series protagonist, the red-haired adventurer by the name of Adol Kristen, and watch about a 90-second long cutscene transpire in about 16, because the PC version of this game added, like, turbo fast-forward for cutscenes and makes them play at 5 times speed. Anyways, so Adol has basically forgotten everything other than how to roll, and he has... If somersaulting was an Olympic sport, he would definitely be a gold medalist. So he wakes up in this town, completely devoid of all memories of pretty much anything other than, like, basic human functions. And he meets this silver-haired gentleman by the name of Durin, who tells him a bit about himself, so that as a refresher. But immediately he gets called to adventure, because he is an adventurer, and he needs to save the people of this town. Real quick, I'm gonna equip a sword, because the game will not let me proceed without it. Adol in this game makes Sonic proud. That sounds about right. Anyways, so Adol is also a swords person, a very experienced swordsman, and the basic combat of this game, you have an attack button, and you have skills that you can bind to the 4 face buttons. There's a good fight there. The skills that you bind to the 4 face buttons you activate by holding down the right trigger, and they use SP, which is noted by the little sun wheel on the bottom of the bottom right end of the screen. So real quick, you'll notice that I actually have an ally with me. If you're familiar with the East series, they're generally solitary affairs where you just play as Adol, but I believe we had East 7 earlier, actually, so there's a lot of similarities between that and this game. Just kill these mobs here. You saw nothing. Oh, did you start the timer early?
No.
Sure. But anyways.
You saw nothing.
Yes. This is another one of the Party East games. You have up to 3 characters that all do their own thing. The silver-haired guy, Durin, is actually the fastest dodge roller of the game. And what I just did there was I went into the menu to load up a memory, and loading up memories sets characters to a default position. So wherever I'm standing is where my active party member is, and allies are right behind him. So in that case, what I did was cause them to load just behind the gate. So now we have the first boss, and in addition to the standard, attacks and skills, I have a guard ability, which if I time perfectly, I can get a flash guard. And I also have a flash dodge, which if I dodge roll at the correct time, I basically get bullet time if you're familiar with Bayonetta, for a couple seconds where time slows down, and I can unleash a lot of damage. I also have a finisher skill, which I'm about to use right here. The finisher skill is noted by the little yellow circle to the right of my skills on the bottom screen. That was a really good fight. Alrighty, so first boss is done. And we're gonna save the miners who are being held captive here, and then at the very back is a statue that talks to us. It tells us we need to save the country, and gives us a thing called the Silver Wing, which lets me teleport between like-colored monuments, as you saw there. Yes, what Dominator said. So, whenever you get a successful flash guard, not only do you avoid all damage by just parrying it, but you also get a series of mini crits, which means for the next few seconds, all your attacks will do about 20% more damage. So right here is a bunch of tutorials for crafting and upgrading weapons. We're never going to do this in the story, so if you got a moment for donations or anything, go right ahead.
Well, I think it's a little bit about time for me to speak about the charity we're here to represent. If any of you have spent any time and know me and watched any marathons that I'm involved in, you know that mental health charities are very important to me. So the fact that Speedrunning Ragnarok is here to raise money for Take This is quite personal to me. The reason why we're raising money for Take This is their mission is to inform gaming and gaming communities about mental health issues. They focus on providing education on the different disorders and on prevention techniques, which help reduce the overall stigma around mental illness. Because as much as it is to treat mental illness, You've got to be willing to listen to those that have it and believe that they have it as well.
Well said. To really quickly touch back on what all we're doing here, after we save the town, the Governor General of the town says she wants us to help map the region of Celceta, because the town that we were just in, called Kazdan, is kind of on the outskirts, and most of Celceta is actually a forest. Hence the Japanese name of the game is the Foliage Ocean of Celceta. In any case, so we decided we're going to check out a couple of, like, landmarks that we do notice, those being the giant tree that's kind of in the center of the region and the river on the far west side. So those are actually two separate scenarios that we can go to in either order, but they're necessary to progress through the game. So we're going to start with the giant tree in the center just because it's closer, but also because through a series of sequence breaks it ends up being the optimal way to go. And speaking of sequence breaks, we're going to be coming up on the first glitch of the run here in about 30-ish seconds. Most of this whole portion is just a lot of rolling. Or as a good friend of mine calls it, limp biscuiting.
I can't believe I'm not about to say this, but I was legitimately thinking of that joke. Oh, I'm so old.
Yeah, I mean, it was from when I was a kid, so at least I'm here.
It's from when I was a teenager, okay?
Alrighty, so what we're gonna actually do here is forcibly take a death. That's bad. I did not want that to happen, but I have a failsafe here. I wasn't supposed to take that there. I just want to take a beating here first. Okay, so we're low enough. I'm gonna get in the water, and then I'm gonna save the game real quick because this has a potential chance of failing. And then what this is gonna do is it's gonna cause my main character Adol to despawn as he dies. So we're gonna switch him back to party lead and revive him. And because he wasn't the party lead a moment ago, and he was just despawned in water and respawned on land, as soon as I exit the menu, he's gonna clip through the floor. So right now I am kind of teetering out of bounds, trying to adjust my position correctly because this is really important. And on the other end of this river is a bridge, and I'm gonna again use memories here to load to a default position. However, when I open the menu, my ally characters should be above the ground. Okay, so it took 2 tries. Alrighty, so I just skipped past this bridge by going under the floor and just getting around it. So yeah, so this is a recurring theme of East games, is finding ways to get around things that you never realized you could do. And this allows me to get to the tree a little bit quicker, but more importantly, the reason that we do that trick is it throws off the sequence of events, because cutscenes in this game are completely segmented, so if you break free from the sequence, everything that happens afterwards does not play as intended. So when I enter this town, cutscenes that are supposed to play here don't, and we just like save a minute and a half just off of that alone.
That's crazy.
Yes, he swims underneath. He swims underneath the ground, beneath the water. So these little blue orbs that I keep running into, these are memories, and they give Adol a flashback. In this case, I actually have a playable flashback. The really cool thing about these memories is anytime I initiate one, it corrects the sequence of the game. So cutscenes that are supposed to play and would be necessary for story progress can be reinitiated through going to a memory. Anyways, I need to speak to every one of these NPCs that I'm going after in order to finish off this little flashback here. Essentially what happens here is Adol meets the village chief of this treehouse town, and becomes friends with the chief's daughter and son, and the son went missing, and so as soon as Adol enters this town, he gets arrested and then breaks free because they don't know how to properly tie a rope to bind him. But half of these cutscenes end up getting skipped anyways, so we need to figure out where the village chief's son and several missing members of the village have gone. So that is basically the reason why we're let go, is to kind of help out. And so the village chief's daughter joins us. Her name is Karna, and she has throwing knives. Every character in this game has a different weapon type. There's also 3 different affinities: slash, pierce, and strike, which certain enemies are weak to. It never really comes up in the speed run, but it's just there for gameplay purposes. And so real quick, I'm gonna go take a small detour. Did I miss it? I think it's the next screen, that's why. Sorry, I'm just a little bit rusty.
Given that you're stepping in, I think that's more than okay.
Okay, I missed something. I gotta go run back for it.
Oh, here we go. My mic was up. So let me just kind of tell you guys that I actually got a hold of GhostKing several hours ago.
Yeah. While I was at work.
Asked him, while he was at work, and asked him if he could fill in for a run that dropped so very suddenly, and I was very worried that we weren't going to find anything, and that it was actually going to be, me and Bob just trying to get a raid. But GhostKing, he offered not 1 but 2 games, and was very, very happy to help us out. So thank you so much, GhostKing, for stepping in at the very last minute.
No problem.
I've just realised how much of a Sonic simulator this is. You've got a blue guy doing forward rolls, followed by an orange guy and a red person.
You have seen nothing yet. Just wait till about the 45-50 minute mark. We'll come back to this. Alrighty, so I'm unfortunately poisoned, and that's not going to go away anytime soon, but I shouldn't die before I hit the next warp monument. Anyway, so the knife-throwing girl, Karna, she is also level 11, which means I'm going to need her to do the most damage in this next fight, and as soon as we enter this little cave here, which is where we're supposed to go, we're going to get attacked. So I'm going to immediately use my extra skill, because it's going to chunk these guys for a ton of damage. And then I want to kind of space myself out, and that did no damage. That's actually horrible, so this is going to be a slow fight. I need to kite around here. These guys can 4-hit kill me. This is the real perks of having a character who has throwing knives. Ordinarily on the easy difficulty, which is kind of just the general 80% for this game, you can kill these guys a lot quicker, but unfortunately I don't really have much option. Also, my other characters are level 3 right now, so they're kind of not very useful. So, the game gives me 1 free healing item. I'm gonna just go ahead and pop it right now. Now, my allies are gonna hit level 8 off of this mob because they're so severely underleveled and experience curves in this game. Pretty much. You can just zone them and not have to worry too much about getting hit. Alrighty. So it turns out these people are actually the villagers that went missing from the village we were just at, and have been possessed by these dark masks that make them have almost inhuman strength. So we need to figure out who's been putting those masks on these people, which we're not going to do because this dungeon is sequence broken like crazy.
It's fine, it was Link.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, I could, but then, I don't know. Easy on other East games is generally the standard difficulty that we in the West speedrun on. Japan tends to just kind of be all over the place, but for this game, it makes a huge difference to the point where I find normal to just be a lot more fun and a bit of a better marathon showing. So real quick, you'll see me stopping by a couple of these treasure chests, and what I'm doing there is picking up stuff to sell, or just, in that case, picking up flat money so that I can buy something that I'm going to need later. It's already an easy game. Yeah, I get that pun all the time. Okay. So, and the reason, as I mentioned, you see me rolling as blue-haired guy here is he has the fastest dodge roll in the game by about 5 to 10%. Everyone has their own kind of variable speed, and it took a lot of trial and error before we really figured out who was the fastest. Also, the music in this game is really cool. This dungeon theme is called Harlequin's Temptation, and it is super cool. It's got like this slap bass line and everything. Like, really, the whole East series has some really great soundtracks. They have their own dedicated sound team of, like, 3 or 4 composers. Gonna have this folky, jazzy rock style to it. Alright, so we're coming up on the mid-boss of this dungeon, and we're gonna do something that is exclusive to the PC version, and part of why we speedrun on the PC version. So, on PC version, you can actually chain together flashguards. And in that case, attacks that give you, that would knock you into the air, if you flash guard them, you can actually stack together the height gain off of that attack and shoot so high that you actually exit the boundaries of this boss fight. So there's a really tall ceiling, or rather a really tall wall around the arena that if you get to a ridiculous height, like just I think you need to guard 8 or 9 times. You just straight shoot out of the arena. So we just grab the thing behind the boss, because that's all we need from it. We actually need to keep this boss alive, because we're going to be doing this a few times. And with that, we are basically done with all we need to do out of this dungeon. Yes, so the item get theme in this game, for a long time I thought it was just a pure coincidence, like, okay, these just happen to sound very similar. No, so Yuzo Koshiro, the original composer for Falcon games in like 85 and 86, when East 1 was being made, he literally just said he really liked the theme from Metroid, so he borrowed it. So the item get jingle is straight out from Metroid. Alrighty, so we only halfway completed that dungeon, but that's all we really need to do, because it turns out there's another sequence break that we can perform. So we're going to use the dwarf bracelet, which we picked up, and that is going to shrink us down to a very small size and reduce our defense to 0. Which is going to allow us to quickly death abuse one more time, and then clip under the floor, because we respawn the character in water and then despawn them on land. We don't really have a name for this glitch. Tuxdev, a fellow helper of mine with this game, calls it spelunking. But yeah, you use water to get out of bounds here, and there's a small bit of territory that's out of bounds here that I can traverse. You see me saving and like loading if I don't actually land on it, and there we landed on it. So this is entirely area that is out of bounds. Most of the time, you will either fall and hit a kill plane, or if you're in water, you'll rise back up whenever you clip through the floor. In that particular instance, though, you can just skip right through it and then hit the one part of out of bounds that is actually like technically loaded. Anyways, this dungeon's a lot like a Lost Woods. If you go the wrong way, you start back at the beginning, but the trick is to always be going downhill. Call it the drown glitch. it doesn't necessarily work because the reason that we kill off a character is it's the only way currently to despawn a character, but we're gonna get another way to despawn a character and then respawn them without having to go through the slow process of, you know, wiping. Alrighty, so everything that I just did there was a sequence break. Ordinarily, I can't actually go too far away from the tree, or I get a little trigger that just says, hey, you haven't completed this dungeon, you need to go complete this dungeon. But if you access that loading zone from the back end, you can hit the loading zone and just skip the entire second half of the giant tree dungeon. So we're going off to the river scenario, where we, again, get arrested because strange things happened the last time Adol was here, because, again, Adol lost all of his memories. He actually, in fact, explored almost the entire region of Celceta by himself. He just doesn't remember any of it. Anyways, this whole section here, he meets and befriends the village elder, or village leader of this town here called Celray. And what happened last time he left Celray was the river got poisoned, so the village leader agrees to let us go because he doesn't think we were the reason why the river is poisoned, but he asks us to kind of help figure out what's going on. So again, we're just going to go around talking to people. If you got any donations, it's a good time.
I want to talk a bit about upcoming incentives, actually, because we've done really, really well so far. We've made our way to $502, which is absolutely fantastic. But there are some incentives coming up for Epistory, Typing Chronicles, to sing the ending. We're at $5 out of 20 there. All of the names for Final Fantasy II are still open. Flareon doesn't have any names suggested so far. Maria has Sil at $30 if you want to name Maria. Go ahead. Name Guy. You could name Guy whatever you like at this point. He doesn't have any names put towards him. And Leon has currently got $5 towards Leon. So yeah, there's tons of cool stuff. If you want to see anything about the incentives, there is a link below the stream on the Twitch page. You can just click on that. If not, it is bit.ly/SRR incentives.
So what I'm doing here is I'm skipping everything else that I was supposed to do, and now we have 4 party members because the village leader, Ozma, decides to join us. And so we can actually switch out our party leader and then switch them back in and clip under the floor yet again. So we just skipped the entire riverside scenario, and now we're going off to the 4th dungeon of the game, which is the underground ruins here. So everything I just did just broke like the first third of the game. Unfortunately, I would be soft-locked if I didn't have this glitch. I'm supposed to get an accessory that lets me swim underwater, but I don't have that. So I'm kind of just traversing out of bounds and using the mini-map on the top right to guide me. So once again, flipping through the floor, getting out of bounds, and then re-emerging back in bounds past everything that would get in my way. So in the old days of the Vita version, I wouldn't get to this part until about an hour 20 into the run, and we're currently at about 24 minutes. So
Wow.
this got broken pretty quickly once we figured out ways to exploit the various glitches. Huge shout out to Robbie from Japan. He's been kind of my partner in crime in figuring out how to route this game, because it's really only ever been about 4 runners total, and 3 of them are from Japan. Anyway, so right here we're making use of the dwarf bracelet, which we picked up to actually do what it's intended to do, which is make us small. So I need to line myself up about here, and then load up a memory yet again to set my characters to default position. And then I messed up. I was not in a good position. Down here, try this again. Alrighty, so now we're actually... Well, I thought we were going to be, but I completely messed up the trick here. Position's a little tight here for some silly reason. So what this is going to do is it's going to cause one of my characters hit this small area loading zone at regular size. Inside this particular little tunnel here is a bunch of small enemies. These enemies take a lot to kill normally because you're only supposed to be in here when you're tiny, but if you hit the loading zone while big, you can just murder them in like one single attack. So I'm using this as a very quick grind spot because I am in the 4th dungeon with characters at the level that... They're not even supposed to be this low level after the 1st dungeon. One of these enemies was just sitting there and got in my way of that attack there. Okay. This is just a very brief grind session. I want to get Adol to level 13 for the next boss. But like, see, these enemies don't actually have much HP because you're not meant to fight them at normal size. So we're going to take one little detour over here because we currently have our base weapon equipped. And now we're making the one use of Durin's unique overworld skill, which is he can pick locks and unlock locked treasure chests. It would be a lot more useful. But this game is so sequence broken that it doesn't really make much difference. Okay, I'm going to switch him out of the party because I don't need him for anything right now, and I've just been hit with heavy, which really sucks. That was kind of what I was trying to avoid. Gonna take a little detour over here to grab this so that we can sell this later. And we're gonna start up on the next boss fight right away. Before we do that, I want to take off the scale mail from Ozma, because I'm not going to be using him, and give it to Adol because I need him to survive as much as possible. So this room immediately initiates a boss as a consequence of leaving a previous boss fight unfinished. So it just kind of forces the fight the second we enter here. Anyways, this boss is kind of the guardian of this underground ruin here. And the trick to dealing with him is to take care of his legs before attacking the core body, which I can now do. So one of the neat little benefits of the PC version is they now allow you to toggle simulflash, which means you can get a guard and a dodge at the same time. And this is really useful because I want the mini crits from the flash guard, but I also want the bullet time from the flash dodge. So getting both of them allows me to sort of extend these cycles where I can hit the boss. So that was really smooth. This is also a nice little benefit of that grind is Karnan picked up a skill called Napalm Shot. It takes a lot of SP, but it's very quick and it has area of effect damage. Now we're initiating the boss's final phase once he's gotten down to about 60% of his second bar of health, and this is really bad because his movement is just really erratic. So Adol died, which is not ideal, but it's not the worst thing that can happen. He'll catch up later on experience. I just needed him for that first phase. Now, at this part, you'll see that I can only hit the the... Like, I can only hit his weakness with Karna because she has range. Everyone else can, like... Only some of their skills can ever hit him, so this phase just kind of drags on. And it's not targeting. Okay. That was actually a really solid fight, all things considered. The fight drags on a little bit, but these fights are going to start picking up. Okay, so Ozma's job is done. He was just there for a little bit of supplementary damage. And we are done with Underground Ruin. So this whole sequence here is a very long cutscene in which we figure out that we find a grave marked with Adol's name on it, meaning that apparently somebody thought we were dead, which last I checked we're not. So kind of trying to figure out what happened there. If we go up to this town, which is on the side of this foreboding little hill with a perpetual thunderstorm around it, in the town, once we get there, everyone thinks that we had died, and they said that they found one of our things, which includes the dark, powerful MacGuffin of the Mask of the Sun. All you need to know about the Mask of the Sun is it's really powerful and evil, and we need to find it. They buried it, and we go and check the grave, and turns out it's not there. Somebody took it. So a whole bunch of mysteries that we're supposed to solve, but we're not going to do that because we sequence broke the game, and so the flags that would ordinarily force us into this scenario don't exist. So we're just gonna continue on our merry way. There's like 8 minutes worth of cutscenes that we just flat out skipped because we skipped into the last dungeon, and the story is not on the right sequence yet. So we're just gonna head to the forbidden tower on the top of the hill that we were never supposed to go to, and that you kind of have to sneak out at night when nobody's looking to ever get to. We just walk right past everyone. It's kind of a silly little consequence of all the sequence breaks in this game. You want to name the girl The Secret of Mana Bob? That's...
Why not?
That's great.
That's a great name.
I do too. I mean, it is my first name after all. Not even
I
making
did not
this.
know that.
I thought I told you this.
No. And I've probably told you that my real name isn't actually Bob.
Yes, you have told me. Alrighty, so as soon as we enter here, this cutscene is forced to happen no matter what goes on. So, yeah, we're not supposed to get up this hill without the means to activate these lightning rods. These are kind of the basically the way to get up this hill without getting struck down by lightning. A lot of people reference Final Fantasy X flashbacks here when I get to this part. Anyway, one of the villagers in the town that we were just in, she followed us up here and wants to kind of figure out what happened to her friend, because her friend kind of serves the god who lives at the tower at the top of this hill. And her friend kind of has just been out of the ordinary, and so she's concerned and wants us to go with her. Also, I was not supposed to light that lightning rod. I could have actually skipped it, but that's fine. Anyways, so she has the ability to activate these lightning rods, as well as a bunch of other things. She's also probably my favorite character to actually play as in this game. It's this little pink-haired girl by the name of Kalilika. It's also really funny that you were talking about Sonic the Hedgehog characters, because every time that comes up, somebody's like, "Oh God, it's the Amy Rose of this game." She even wields a clubbed weapon.
Yeah, it's true.
Alrighty. So, you'll notice on the mini-map, there's a kind of pink circle. That is the safe zone, and I can go from... If I listen for the lightning, I can actually go from the safe zone around the lightning rod to the ledge there, and just skip an additional 2 lightning rods that I don't need to activate. So that saves a little bit of time. Anyways, we need to climb the top of this tower, which we're not going to do because we only have to do about half of it to actually get what we want for the speed run. So basically everything, like, don't trust anything I say about what we have to do because most of it's just suggestions.
They're more guidelines.
There are more guidelines for how you're supposed to play this game, but, you know, I don't roll that way.
At least it's better than Sonic 06.
Oh, this is actually a really good game. I love this game. It's a little on the easy side, even for an East game, which are ironically actually generally pretty tough games. So here what I'm doing is loading up a memory again, not to set my parties to a default position, but because it also sets enemies to a default position. And there's a few frames after I close the menu where I can activate this switch. If enemies are aggroed onto you, you can't actually do overworld actions like opening chests or interacting with objects. So being able to bypass there helps a lot because I don't have to kill those enemies or lure them away.
So how much does enemy positioning play into the run?
Very little. There's a few places here and there where we don't want them in our way because it's going to keep us from doing stuff we need to do, but for the most part, it's not really a problem. By the way, how's the game volume? It feels a little low on my end, but I want to make sure it's coming through okay.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I can't actually hear it.
Well, you're a little different because you're hosting.
I'm also not going to lie to you. I actually have Discord coming through my headphones and the game volume coming through my monitor, which I have down at half volumes.
That's fine.
But if the lovely people in chat would tell us how the game volume sounds, that might be nice.
Okay, thanks, Shala. That's good to know.
I'm just expecting, because I know that Kay's like lurking in the background. Like if anything goes wrong, I'm expecting her to do like a WWE style run and just beat us both with chairs. So.
Alright, so I picked up a piece of armor in that treasure chest there. That's just useful for defense, but it also gives it a little bit of strength, which is also nice. So we're approaching the area where the mid-boss is supposed to be, but we're not going to actually do it as intended. Instead, we're going to warp out to the exit of the tower, and then we're going to save here, and we're going to listen for thunder, because this is still in the safe zone. Do a few rolls, and then we're going to save, and then we're going to die. It's not what I was trying to do there.
Sorry, couldn't resist.
It's fine.
Just how much exactly of this run is actually intended?
Not as much as it used to be. That's the simplest way of putting it. So I'm rolling past this whole section and repeatedly saving because the developers didn't really account for you doing this. This is actually also on the Vita version. But every time I save, I'll load it back up and then keep trying.
So does this manipulate the lightning, or help you avoid the lightning?
No, it lets me actually skip past the lightning altogether and hit the loading zone on the west side here, which they didn't intend for you to ever be able to do. But it's kind of just a developer oversight more than anything. For a long time, we kind of were actually wondering a consistent way to do it, and it turns out the trick to it is just save like really, really fast. Okay. I'll go ahead and boost y'all up a little bit. Okay. Alrighty, so we're setting up a shortcut here for later. We're gonna warp back into the dungeon, ride the lightning,
Yeah, between that and like AC/DC and Thunderstruck, man, this game must have a really great soundtrack.
It's pretty good even with that. Like, maybe not AC/DC good. I don't know. Okay. I like this game's soundtrack a lot. So we're gonna use the dwarf bracelet again here and deliberately party wipe. There's a reason for there's a method to my madness, trust me. So instead of hitting like the "you died, would you like to retry" screen, what that does is it treats it as if we were struck by lightning, but during a boss fight. So we escaped the boss fight, and now the game thinks that we're still in a boss fight. So the next screen that has a scripted encounter, it will immediately cause that scripted encounter to play. So we're gonna go back to town, and it turns out there's a scripted encounter on the in the town. This isn't supposed to be something that we get to until after the boss, like the final boss of the tower, so...
This is amazing.
So we're just going to wail on these 4 guys until eventually Kalilica's going to run low on health, and I'm going to have to switch out to an ally. She has this really useful skill called Gravity Sphere, which sounds like a really badass name for a metal band, if you ask me. But what it does is it pulls enemies aside and just kind of keeps them all stuck together. And it's a great way of just keeping enemy mobs contained. Alright, so this is the reason I picked up the armor and the better knives for Karna, because she wouldn't be able to do much right now. Alright, that was actually a really good mob. I don't think I've had one that good in a long time. Alrighty, so this whole sequence of events happens. We meet the big bad of the game for the first time, at least in the speedrun. He appears earlier, but we think he might be a good guy at that point. And what they say is they're setting off to find the Mask of the Sun, and they're ransacking everything in their way to do so. So we need to get to the Mask of the Sun before they do, which is currently not in their possession, but not in ours. And so now we have Kalilica as a permanent party member, and we have the Golden Wing, which lets us teleport to anywhere from anywhere. Well, any warp monument specifically. Just making sure I have everything I need to right now. And we're going to start this boss fight proper. We don't actually have to fight it, but the thing that he gives me is worth the time sink. So the boss fight strategy here is we need to kill these 4 orbs on the side, and those will damage the main health bar. And the trick to these guys is to get right behind them, because they have sort of a force push effect on me that keeps me from hitting them at point blank. But if we get behind them, then we can damage them easier. Really trying to get these flash guard mini crits as much as we can. Okay. And that's it for that. Alrighty, so remember the part I was mentioning about Sonic the Hedgehog? Well, we just picked up his shoes.
What have you done to Sonic?
We've I don't know. I jokingly call these Sonic shoes, but I actually think this is a really cool thing to have in an action RPG. So these are the Gale shoes. As you can guess, they make you run really, really fast. They also are surprisingly easy to steer. If you ever need to like make a turn on a dime, you can press, you can let go of the button and press it again to just immediately change direction. Also, you can make your characters ninja run, which somebody pointed out to me, and I can never unsee it.
Ninja run?
Yeah, you do the Naruto run where you're like holding your arms behind you while you run.
That's one of them animes, isn't it?
Yes, I suppose so. I mean, I don't pretend to know anything about anime. I'm just a scrub. Okay. So here's the cutscene where we witnessed that Adol was attacked by the god of this region, Eldiel, who has lately kind of had bouts of madness where he turns evil. He's normally a good guy and was our friend for a while. But in this attack, Adol lost the Mask of the Sun, and that was why the people back at the previous town thought he was dead. So, the place we're heading to actually has the Mask of the Sun kept safe, basically. Before we go there, we need to set up this little warp point to have as a little shortcut once we get done with this next section. Alright. And so here's where we're going to get our last character, which is supposed to happen about 20 hours into the game, but we're currently about 46 minutes in. Anyway, she's my favorite character in this game because she wields a halberd, which is my favorite type of weapon, because it's literally just a giant axe on a stick. Just a long spear, but instead of a poking tool, it's just an axe.
Yeah. Halberds are great. What if we took an axe and made it bigger?
Basically.
And what
Anyway.
if we took that big axe, put it on a stick?
Right?
Alright, boss fight starting. So, the god's servant decides that nobody can have the Mask of the Sun, so she tries to basically prevent us from ever getting to it. So, we need to stop her, because we kind of need that. Because we know that, you know, the bad guys want it. Anyways, so the character we just picked up is higher level and has a better weapon than everyone else, so we're going to be using her for a while. Her name is Frida.
Obligatory blue-haired Japanese gangster.
Okay, so this fight's really obnoxious, but that's more so because the boss here saw Galbook and knocked me away. Yeah, we kind of need to have somebody, because Gase wasn't actually in the original for this game, because this is actually a sort of a remake of East 3, or sorry, East 4. And Gase isn't until East 6 or 7. He's in both, but whatever. Alright, boss fight's done. And in desperation, she tries to break the barrier and grab the Mask of the Sun and fly away with it, but the big bad was waiting all along and just kind of swoops in and steals it from underneath her. This is why I don't like Lisa. That's the name of the blonde-haired girl, by the way. I don't like her. She kind of does a lot of things to cause the bad guys to be in a better position than they should be.
So she's the unit of this game.
Yep. That's one way of putting it.
That's gonna get me some hatred.
Alrighty. So here we use Frida's overworld action, which we will only be doing for 2 situations for the entire run. Now, you're going to actually see that I'm going to be using Karna as my main runner for the entire game from this point on. And the reason for this is she has the highest sprinting speed of anyone in the game. 10% faster than Adol, and then 23% faster than the slowest character of the game. I need to kill this worm before I can proceed, and then... There we go.
So what was your estimate on this?
An hour 15.
And what's your PB?
An hour 7.
Oh, nice.
If all goes well, this should be a sub 110. I've had my share of mistakes, but I don't know. There's a part of me that wants to break out into Untitled by Simple Plan, but like I've made my mistakes, but got nowhere to. I don't know.
This is just getting more and more my kind of music.
Oh no. Alright. So, the whole reason we're going here is, once again, to set up a warp point to teleport to later. Sorry, Kay, you were going to say something?
So, GhostKing, how do you feel about gun halberds that fire axes?
I mean, that's combining two of my favorite things. I want to see this now.
Alright.
We could go like
There's your answer to that.
we could go like full Tony Stark and get like a gun that fires other guns that fire more axes.
We're getting a little ridiculous, aren't we?
Hey,
Alright.
I saw it in Iron Man. It can happen.
Yeah, it's in anime. Come on.
Sure. Not
You're
cool.
playing a game where people can literally phase through matter, and you think a gun that fires other guns is ridiculous.
I mean,
Guns
that
that
wasn't
fire
by
guns
that
that
wasn't
fire
by
axes.
that wasn't by design. That was by accident. Alrighty. So, before we can proceed through those coral-looking rocks, we need to be able to have a way to break them. So real quick, I'm going to do the only puzzle in this game that requires the use of the mouse. There's another way to do it, but using the mouse is, like, much faster. This was originally a touchscreen puzzle that was kind of shoehorned into the Vita version. And the next boss is a giant frog, so this is one thing just for my channel. The one time I asked to be a little self-indulgent. Can we get some frog emotes in chat? You know, your OS frogs and your frog emojis. Alright, so what I'm gonna do here is proceed to just stun lock the ever-loving crap out of this boss.
You were so close on the pyramid that you got blocked by Moobot. Moobot pyramid block, UK.
I would have gotten it if I had done it properly.
So, for some silly reason, this boss gets really stun-locked by the Hurricane Spin skill. So, the fastest way to deal with this guy is to attack a few times and then use Hurricane Spin, attack a few times and then use it again. And he doesn't like that. Oh god, they were just eaten. That's not good. Release my friends, dang you.
I like that here we have this evil person, Yagamov, who's trying to enable the party-eating frog over here by saying that frogs are friends and not food.
I'm on Yaga's side. So.
I like frogs.
Frogs are good, okay.
Alrighty. Well, there's the frog boss. That could have gone better. Ideally, I keep him pretty much stun-locked for the entire fight, but things can always go wrong because he summons minions. Alrighty.
I know that we've been speaking about gun halberds. How about the wielder of the gun blade?
Nah,
We have a $12.22 donation from Charlotte Kitty, who wants to donate to call Leon Squall in Final Fantasy II. See what you did there? That's called a segue.
Yeah. I was like, that was a good segue because I was about to talk smack about Squall, but then I'm like, oh, it's money for charity.
We can
I can't
totally
talk
smack about Squall.
I can't talk bad about money for charity though. Nice going, Kay. Alrighty. So, I had to take a couple of little quick stops there because there's these monsters that look kind of like alien sausages that scream at me anytime I'm running by them. Because apparently they don't like kids having fun.
Oh, they're my parents.
Are you having fun? You're not allowed to do that.
No fun allowed. Oh, that's hitting close to home.
Shut up, Dad. I'll ninja run if I want.
You just call me Dad.
Not you. I'm talking the alien sausage dads.
Oh, alien sausage Dad. Okay.
Sure, we'll just establish that as canon. I
Yeah,
speedrun Barkley
alien
Shut Up
sausage
and Jam
dad.
Guide and everything is canon to me.
That's fair. That's fair.
Alrighty. So this guy's really obnoxious. His first two health bars, or his first health bar, I have to kind of get a lot of good guards in. Thankfully, his attacks are really easy to guard. The obnoxious part is, though, he has these little spike balls on the side of the arena that, if he goes up to them, he'll heal a bit off of them. Alright, so now we've initiated his second phase. Yes, please donate to talk more trash about Squall. It fuels me.
You got something you want to say about Squall, you donate and I will read that out.
Alright, hopefully this will kill him. If not, it will get him really close. Alright, so now he's going to do this charging thing, which is really annoying. And if I get another flash, another simul flash, I should be able to kill him. There we go.
Just a boss. It's a Squall.
What they really want you to do there is to, like, let him, you know, tire out and then, like, hit him while he's stunned for a brief moment, but we don't have time for that. We only got 20 minutes left to beat the video game before we get overestimate.
I mean,
Yeah,
you
you
can go overestimate. It's okay.
No, you can't, because you don't want to be Bowie.
So we got about 4 dungeons left in this game and 20 minutes to do them, so we're going to find a way to just speed this up. So what's supposed to happen is we're supposed to reach the ancient capital city of this region, try and enter the final dungeon, get locked out because the bad guys have the Mask of the Sun, they almost kill us, and then we're going to have to try and figure out how to get into the dungeon, which means we need to find the opposite of the Mask of the Sun, the Mask of the Moon, which is another thing that exists in this game. The other thing we have to do is we have to get it repaired because it's split in 2. And then fight several bosses and head off to this ancient laboratory to fix it. But we're just gonna not get the Mask of the Moon because we have a PC exclusive way to just skip into the 3rd dungeon of the final 4, and that's really all we're gonna do left in the rest of the game. As well as a few more other fun things. So I'm gonna save here because this guy can literally 2-shot me. We're gonna flash guard a bunch of times and then gain enough height to literally shoot over the door here and then just behind the door. So that enemy in front of the door we're not actually able to kill until we complete what was supposed to be the next 2 dungeons. But we just kind of catapulted right over it by guarding every one of his attacks and then using the height storage off of that to skip straight past him. Anyways, this dungeon has really cool music. It's a shame it's only in 1 dungeon instead of 3 in the speedrun, but, you know, I'm glad that it's still here at all. The other thing that's really nice about this is this dungeon is originally meant to be an escort mission dungeon, and your escort cannot sprint. So you have to just do the slow thing of dodge rolling the entire way through the dungeon. Even then, you can still get too far ahead of her. So we don't have to do any escort mission, which is really nice, because it means we can just sprint past everything here. Now, we're about 10 levels lower than the game wants us to be right now, so we're gonna go ahead and pick up a weapon to have some means of catch-up. Before I forget, I do want to equip it. I have forgotten to equip it before the next boss, and then the run just died. So let's not let that happen here.
I mean, of all the ways to lose a run, that doesn't sound like the most fun.
Yeah, forgetting equipment is kind of the worst. Okay.
You know what else is worse?
What?
Forgetting to heal.
Oh god. Thankfully that's not actually a problem in this game. There's so many ways to heal in this game, outside of like actual boss fights. Oops, what am I doing? Making a couple little errors here. I blame the rust, I haven't touched this game in about a week. Okay. Alrighty. So the fun little thing about the escort, once again, it's Lisa that we have to escort, the girl that we just got really upset at because she let the big bad have the big bad thing. It's really this escort is why I don't particularly care for. Once again, using height storage there to skip past the door that we otherwise could not get through. Now, the boss fight that's supposed to happen at the end of this dungeon isn't going to. So right now we need to force it to happen. So we left this guy alive about an hour ago or so, 45 minutes ago, and we're going to use him again because his ability to basically give us a free boss trigger is incredibly helpful. So, oops, wrong button. So we start up the boss fight, exit that boss fight, and now the next time we go to a screen that's supposed to have a boss fight on it, it will immediately start. So once again, making sure I have everything I need. There we go. Alrighty. So this boss fight, we have to cause a cutscene to play beforehand, but we can just force this boss fight immediately. Essentially, what happens for the story here is Lisa's friend here, Sol Galba, goes mad, and Adol just instantly died. So I'm going to use the Celceta and Panacea I picked up for backup as a full revive item. And he almost died anyways. Oh, wow. That's unfortunate. Sometimes you can get hit even if you perfect guard something in this game, which is really bad. So I'm going to have to just wipe and try again. Basically, Sol Galba here goes mad and doesn't listen to anything she says. And we need to kind of calm him down by beating the ever-loving Tara out of him.
I mean, I wouldn't be happy if I had Tara in me.
And I died because I failed a guard. This fight's pretty tough.
I'm sorry.
No, it wasn't your fault. It was me completely messing up.
I blame Vanny.
Thanks,
It's
Vanny.
definitely Vonnie's fault. Damn you, Vonnie.
Everything this guy can do has the potential of like one-hit killing me, so I have to be like really good on my guards. That attack is actually really useful because it's not actually an attack, but the game treats it as an attack, which means I can guard it. Alrighty, so first I need to take care of the feet. That's the most important part. Once I get the feet taken care of, he's gonna go down to his hands, and then we can finish off the hands, and then I can hit the head. There's my finisher here. And I should be able to do enough damage in 3 cycles to kill him. Alrighty. Time to start the second cycle. This is a little easier than the first one. It's the third one that I really want to be wary of. I really need to get on these hands quickly because he can get back up, and I don't want that to happen because I have to hit the feet again.
I get knocked down.
Oh god. No, this is not the time for tub thumping.
I would like to apologise to the world for Chumbawamba. It did come from my country, so I feel it is beholden upon English people to apologise for that. So.
Okay. That attack's nice because it doesn't do damage. Okay. Now he's going to charge up his face laser, which I'm going to immediately stop because I took care of the feet.
You know, it's always a bad time when you know, and that guy's going to charge his face laser.
That's about right. Alrighty, please kill. I don't want to have to do any more of this. Oh god. Oh, just barely got him. 3 cycles. Phew. That is a tough fight. On any given run, you could just die like 3 times with this fight, and not really a lot you can do. Anyways, turns out inside of her beast, inside of her friend, was the soul of the king that used to live here, like hundreds of years ago. So, that king fixes up our Mask of the Moon, and we can now enter the final dungeon. But, coincidentally, on the first screen of the final dungeon is a forced encounter, so we're going to come back to this boss fight one last time. The bee has cooperated a lot today. This guy is probably the worst part of the run, if I'm being completely honest. Shoutouts to bees. Did I?
Covered in bees!
I mean, I have 4 splits in my live split thing that just say not the bees because of how much I hate that bee. Alrighty, so we're gonna head up to the final dungeon and initiate the scripted fight that is forced to happen at the beginning of the, or at the first screen of the final dungeon. It's not actually the beginning. In fact, it's not supposed to happen until after we complete the final dungeon, which means, yeah, we just skip the entire final dungeon, like, immediately by just forcing an encounter that's not supposed to happen until later. So, there will be no final dungeon here. Instead, we just have the Mask of the Sun handed to us by the powers that be. And we need to get rid of it, because the guy who we defeated to get it in another timeline, basically his soul kind of fuses with it, and will stop at nothing to make sure that he has the power of the mask. So because it's too powerful, we're gonna just basically do a Lord of the Rings and run up a volcano and chuck it into the volcano.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Need to get rid of some cursed items? Throw it in a volcano.
Sounds about right. Hey, the cycles here are really good.
But do we have the epic moment of, I can't carry it, but I can carry you? Sorry, it's my
Nothing of the
favorite
sort. Nothing of the sort, I'm afraid. Alrighty, so his Phantom comes after us and is basically the final boss. You'll notice that there's a friend here, and so she's the escort from the previous dungeon that we just skipped, so they force it on us in the final fight. The nice thing is she can't die, so no matter what happens to her, she's gonna be fine. The other thing is she can heal me, so this fight basically becomes free. Even though this was already the easiest boss fight in the game. Alrighty.
Dragon Lord Carter does have a point. It's all except the Super Crown, which you can't throw into the volcano.
I think I have Arc Blast. Okay, I want that. Oh no, this isn't Arc Blast, it's another skill that I really like. Whatever, I'll just keep these ones.
Just having flashbacks to Monty Python and Holy Grail.
Alright, so I flash guard his super before he ever does it, which cancels it and prevents a very long, annoying animation.
Good thing we can cancel long, annoying animations.
Yep. Okay, so this is just the final boss of the game. No biggie. There's a bigger boss that we just skipped before him, which is kind of more meant to be like a true final boss of this game. This is kind of just like the encore, really. But at least you have like a decently proper and kind of epic final fight that we do 20 levels under level.
This is a Kingdom Hearts game?
Alrighty, so we're going to throw the Mask of the Sun into the volcano, and time's coming up here shortly. There's a couple cutscenes, and it's fade to white, and time. Alrighty, my split says 109.23.
Sub 110?
Mm-hmm.
Good job, sir. Good job.
Well, so my first marathon run of this went over estimate at 115. The next one was at 112. Now this is 109. I hope my next run will be at 106. Just continue down the streak of 3 minutes better.
I was going to say, you're gradually gaining 3 minutes. Yeah.
Alrighty. So since we have an additional 5 minutes that we save, plus a little bit more time that we can kill, I'm going to demonstrate really quick New Game Plus.
Uh-oh.
Yay!
So,
Bonus run!
New Game Plus is amazing. We're gonna even do it on Nightmare because we're hardcore like that, and it doesn't actually make that much difference. Okay. So we went to the file that I created with my playthrough of the game just now, and we loaded that up, and the game gives us a chance to play the game once again. So load here, go here, start up, and then we're going to start on Nightmare. So everything we have here, we have all the skills we built up and the equipment from the previous run.
All right. Oh boy. No way.
Don't worry, this run will be really, really fast. So the game's going to tell me we have now unlocked Time Attack, which is a PC exclusive thing that Xseed the publisher put into the game, where we can go into boss rush mode.
Try this. No escape.
And once again, the final boss has an attack that allows us to use height storage. So we can just exit the final boss in boss rush, load up a memory, and then that bypasses the time attack setting, which means that we can just fight this guy, and the game now thinks that we're in a story mode.
So what did you just do?
We just exited the final boss, and then decided that we're going to make this a story mode run.
Okay, yeah, sounds normal, yeah.
Sure.
Nice thing about boss rush is it gives me a decent weapon. So, okay, I died. It's Nightmare. It happens sometimes. I've learned to not question these things. It's funny how many of these just glitches were found by accident and then just like tinkered with. Like, if you ever see a speedrun that's really broken and you wonder, how do people find this? Idiots like me spend a little bit too much time messing around with things, and then we just find something completely by accident. And then that leads in, and then like a smart person like Ravi finds a way to actually use it. And I should probably just focus on this because I keep dying.
No escape. Try this. No escape. Try this.
It's a nice way to actually give this run a little bit of closure, is the New Game Plus on Nightmare.
Try this. No escape. Try this.
Try this. No escape.
Yeah, I get my Sonic 06 vibes from this. It's no use, take this.
No escape.
I did worse when I focused.
Imagine a school.
Oh god, he guarded here. Okay, that's not too bad.
You know, the only thing this run needed more of was Parabol.
Oh god. We're not bringing that back.
No.
Not today.
No, you're not.
Okay. And so, we're gonna initiate the ending sequence here, and there. Nightmare New Game Plus completed in, according to my timer, 3 minutes and 40 seconds.
According to my timer, you did it in 0 minutes and 0 seconds. I think
Oh
that's
dang,
a world record.
that's world record. That's a good thing I had my timer going then, because I question the legitimacy of this. I'm going to accuse myself of cheating.
Spliced.
But yeah, my PB on that's a minute 43, and that's like, you know, not dying and actually getting my guards. Okay.
Crazy.
Yeah. Alrighty, so stay tuned. I'm gonna go switch over to another, perhaps arguably more broken East game. Actually, I'd say this one's more broken, but that one has breaks just freaking everywhere, so we're gonna close this out, and then, yeah, we'll get set up on the next game, which I'm gonna have to do a few changes here anyways, so, yeah, take it away, I'll be right back.